All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's go back into Adalo and let's actually start creating a build. Let's start a build for our Apple app. And this is really easy to do. So on the left-hand side over here, there's a little check mark. And if you hover over it, it'll say publish. So I'm just going to click on this. And this is kind of the menu that we're going to use to publish the different versions of our app. So we've got an Android publishing tab, iOS, and then same for progressive web app. I'm going to go ahead and click on this iOS app here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Start a New Test Flight Build. And I haven't touched these settings yet, so it's going to actually prompt me to actually do that. And here's where I can put in all the information that I created in the previous videos. So that bundle ID that we made, which is actually going to be com.swapmeet.ios. And then the Apple ID that I used to create this. So I'm going to put that in. And then your Apple ID password. So this is the password that you use with that particular Apple ID. All right, and then this is the app-specific password that we created. And if you're worried about giving Adalo access to your Apple ID, don't worry, that's what this app-specific password is for, right? So that something outside of yourself can access just a very select part of your Apple account. They can't access anything else except for the permissions that this password allows them to have. So I'm going to go over here and kind of copy this password here. All right. And then what we are going to do is click this next button here, and you'll see that it gives us some options for creating the launch graphic of our app. All right. So the app display name here, I'm just going to make it be Swap Meet. The launch screen graphic, most people are just going to choose the logo for their app, but you can certainly make this whatever you want, right? You can make this like a very nice graphic or logo if you want to, and then you can also change the background color. So if I wanted to make this like black, kind of an inversed kind of way to look at it, I can do that. And then down here below all of that, we've got some request permissions. And these are the permissions that are going to show as pop-ups in the app, asking the user to give permission to use the camera, to use the photo library, and to use location. And as it says right here in this explainer, you need to be as specific as you can about why your app needs this, okay? And even if your app doesn't use the camera or use need to access the photo library or location, you still need to put this in here because Adalo's kind of code on the back end still includes this information, all right? So you still need to fill all of this stuff out, all right? So I'm just going to very quickly fill all of this stuff in. And the examples here that it gives are really good example prompts to follow here. Just make sure that you're as specific as you can be. Okay, so once all of those are filled out and are specific, in this case, I just went in and put, we need to access your camera to be able to take profile photos and photos for your posts, right, when you post an item for sale. And kind of the same thing for photo library, right? We need to be able to show photos from your library for your profile posts and maybe some other media. And then also location allows us to access your location so that we can show you where your sale items are located so that we can show other people where those items are. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. And if you get something like this, it says, we weren't able to verify your App Store Connect credentials. You can go back to settings here and make sure that your app-specific password is actually registered and that the Apple ID and password are correct. All right. So I'm just going to retype this in here. We'll just give this another try here. And it will check the credentials. And if everything checks out, you may get a two-factor authentication where you will be asked to allow this particular device to access your or allow Apple to access your account. All right. So I'm just going to do the two-factor code here, 950741. All right. And then I'll click submit and click done. And as long as everything checks out, it will give me an option to select a version number. Now, I always recommend to start with this number here and go up by tenths, right? And so whenever you release like a major version, you may want to go up. Just know that version numbers can only go up. They cannot go backwards, all right? And so for that reason, I always like to start really low because you will always add, patches and fixes and all sorts of those things later on down the line, all right? So I'm going to leave it at 0.1. I'll go ahead and hit start. And you can see down here, it says that my build is queued. And like we talked about in another video, the queue time will vary based on how many other people have their apps queued to be built. But the build time specifically will take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, all right? So again, the queue time will vary based on demand and based on users. But the build time, once this actually starts to build, it will actually only take about 15 to 20 minutes, all right? And we will, in the next video, we'll look at what happens once this build is actually completed.